Welcome to the Midday Quickie, everybody. Thank you for coming in. I am your host, Kanya, but of course, you can call me Coach K. I'm your life coach and certified sexologist with the goal of helping women to understand and acknowledge their value and worth and set those personal boundaries. And I do this through self love, accountability, and truly helping you to own your sexuality. As women, when we understand the power that we hold when we own our sexuality, we truly show up differently in the world. We are less likely to be unwavered, and we understand that sex and sexuality are two totally different things. So, today on the Midday Quickie, which I am here on a tri-weekly basis. So every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I am right here during your lunchtime for only 30 minutes talking about different topics that are women centered, things that women want to and need to talk about in a closed door environment. These rooms are only open to club members and community members. Community members who are joining me right here on YouTube, you are able to see all of the visuals like we had on Monday with all of our different toys that we explored. You're able to get those exclusive videos. So if you want to learn how to become a community member, please feel free to text the word community to 804-967-4551. So let's get started with today's topic, which is playing your side role. The side chick. Well, I'm going to start with a interesting story from this past weekend. And this is what prompted this room, because the side chick has been around forever. There are side dudes too, but we're talking about us because we're ladies. We were sitting, me and my husband, we took the kids to North Carolina, went to an amusement park, dropped them off back at the hotel, and we walked down to this little Mexican restaurant. So we're sitting at one of the booths, and the bar wasn't too far in front of us. And we see this young couple who's sitting and conversing, and they're pretty loud and having a good time, especially the young woman. She's very loud. You can tell she had a few drinks in her, so she was feeling good, which is awesome. I love it. The more drinks, the merrier, if it's going to make you feel good. But, I heard her say, "You're almost 40. So I knew that the gentleman was about 40. And she probably was between 35 and 40-ish. And so then I hear her say something to the effect of, "Well, you're still legally married." And so my ears really perked up at that point, because you are married until you're divorced. That's just the end of discussion. That's, of course, a conversation for another day. And those who are joining me here in Clubhouse, absolutely feel free to raise your hand and come on up and be an interactive part of the discussion, and offer any information or ask questions as need be. So when I hear her say that, I was like, oh, okay. So my husband's like, "What?" So I told him what was going on. So they're still talking and giggling and laughing, and he gets a call on his phone. And so whoever it was a guy. And I guess the woman that he was with also knew this guy. So the guy who answered the phone was like, "Oh, now you call me back," and so on, so on. So they all three were talking. Fast forward about 3 minutes into that conversation, I'm guessing that a second call came in. And this time it was a FaceTime call. And so when I saw the screen flip from just being a regular talking screen to a face call screen, I see a woman's face pop up. And at this point, he's slightly holding the phone towards the left. The young lady that he was with was sitting to his right. And she just kind of sat there. And so he's talking to this woman openly. He's, having this open discussion. I hear him saying that, "I'm here alone." And I'm invested at this point because I'm nosy. And I'm like, oh, this is some mess that you just see on TV. But I was seeing it play out. And so the young lady that he was with retreated back into her little bar stool chair, and she starts scrolling on her phone. And I see her make a FaceTime call to another lady. That call didn't last any time. So as he's happily, openly engaged in his conversation with this other woman on his phone, the young lady who he's with just sits there and she's just looking like Chuck in the face, for lack of better words. And so eventually she gets up and she goes to the restroom. I can only assume she went to the restroom. And so at this point, this guy, he takes his phone and he starts to, and you see me here on YouTube, he starts to just move it around saying, see. He's moving it left to right to show whoever's on the phone that he's there alone. And then I hear him say, when he's, put the phone back in front of him, that, oh, no one that I know personally. And so this woman, me and my husband just assumed that she was, had an upset stomach and she was just having a movement in the bathroom because she was gone for a little while. When she left her phone face down on the bar. So she apparently is pretty open with this guy. She trusts him wholeheartedly. And the bartender walks up to the guy and was like, is this check together or separately? And so me and my husband, we're both, of course, invested at this point. So we lean in, listening, and he says, it's going to be separate. I'm like, oh, hell. Okay, whatever, to each their own. So the girl finally comes back out of the bathroom or wherever the hell she went to, because she went for a long time. She comes back to her bill sitting on a little clipboard in front at her seat. And her entire demeanor just changed. Whereas earlier she was loud, oblivious, and all over him and, just leaning over. When she came and sat back down, she was sitting straight up. She picked up the clipboard and she was looking at her bill. And you can tell that the tension and the atmosphere had changed between them. And he was trying to, make light conversation with her. And she just was like giving short answers. And so she pulls out this wad of money. I'm like, okay, homegirl got her own money. That's good. That's good. She puts her money down for her bill. And she's just, they're trying to make conversation again and not make it as awkward as what the hell we just watched them go through. And so I really wanted to stay, but we had started wrapping up our food to go. And so my husband was like, get out of them people's business. And so we left. So that prompted me to pose the question, does a side chick really know their role? Do they understand their place? And yes, this person, this guy, still being legally married, and she even said it out of her mouth, you're still legally married. I don't care if y'all are beefing. And then she said something else and laughed out loud. Like, again, this is at the beginning of the conversation. And so for me, this woman who he was with made a conscious decision to get involved with a married man because he's still married until he's divorced. And so when the person on the phone that I can only assume is his wife called, she happily sat back in her chair and left him to have that conversation with her. And that makes me wonder, as a woman, what are you thinking in that moment that you're okay being a second place person in this person's life? And that is not to say that there's a judgment there. It's truly, what would be the thought process or pattern with being okay to have to quash your voice when this other person is in the forefront of this guy's attention? What is it that goes through your mind that says, I'm perfectly okay in this race that I'm running with always coming in second and potentially third and fourth? Because let's be realistic, as the side chick, you really give up many of your relationship seeking rights. You know, you can dictate some things because you now hold a secret over this other person, but how much stress does that put on you? Where does that place you in the grand scheme of relationship seeking? And why is it that instead of you seeking someone that's totally unattached, that you seek someone that is attached? So that made me think further, because as a life coach and sexologist, I'm always going to think further. Sometimes we as women, we seek out someone who is not completely detached because we may not be ready to fully attach. And what that looks and feels like is we're probably holding on to some kind of anxiety or old relationship residue, or just utter fear from what we watched as children growing up in our own households, that we're not fully ready to make a 100% commitment to another person. So we go and find someone who may be available at a 25 to 75%. So we don't necessarily have to give our 100% because we're not fully there. So then I pose the challenge to a woman who may be in that position or feel that way, to say, if you're not in that space of I'm 100% ready to allow someone to attach to them and be in my space, maybe refocus that 100% that you're working on back to yourself. Because what's happening when you decide to make a conscious decision to walk into a relationship that is only going to give you 25 to 75%, that puts another layer of a relationship in your memory bank. So this adds residue to all of the residue that you walked into it with. There's no way, you cannot run away from yourself. And if you are the person that has not healed from whatever relationship, and I encourage you that if you have not watched my video on properly grieving a relationship once it ends, I encourage you to go back and review that. It's here on YouTube. You can also find it on my IGTV under the series Clubhouse Discussions. If you have not taken the time to properly grieve, aka get rid of that residue and completely heal from whatever it is that you went through. And it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship, ladies. This could be a friendship. This could be a firing from a career. As women, we hold on to those emotions and they come out in all ways, including when we're out looking for a mate. So when I talked about owning your sexuality, not your sex, but your sexuality, all of that plays a part in that. So when we hold ourselves accountable and we say, you know what, that relationship I was just in was completely jacked up. The person I was with was completely horrible. Here are my contributions to how that relationship did not move forward. I own, acknowledge, and accept my part in that. let me heal from that. Let me date myself first for a while so I can remember what it feels like to be in a very conscious, happy place. And only then would I even open my mind to allow someone else in my space. So as a side chick, do you know your place? Do you know your role? Do you understand that you do give up some relationship rights at that point? You give up the voice that you have to speak on things that you really don't like because you're already accepting table scraps at this point, and you're saying that I'm okay with you only giving me a quarter to 3/4 of a percentage of you because I'm only going to give you that. But there are some women who go in 100%, or so they feel like it. I'm going to give you my all. And that's when the boundaries of the side chick get grayed. As a side chick, you wait to be called. You typically don't call. As a side chick, you wait to be visited. You typically don't go visit. As a side chick, you don't get holiday time. You give holiday time. So if you're going to make that decision to be in a side chick role, play the role accordingly with the understanding that you still have feelings and emotions that you may not be able to control. If you did not walk into that understanding that you gave up any of your relationship rights. Now, sometimes it comes to pass where you meet someone and you find out later that they are in a relationship or married or whatever, and you're the side chick. You think you're the main one, but come to find out you're the side chick. So then what do? Most women will use the excuse of, well, I've gotten so much invested. I really love this person, so I'm not going to give it up. But what you're really saying is, I'm not worth being number one in anyone's life, including my own. And so I'm just going to sit in this mess and see how it plays out. You are giving up your control of yourself, your sexuality, your being to someone else who's already let you know you're not worth 100% transparency because you didn't know that from the beginning that they were attached. So ladies, I definitely challenge you to be very conscious and understanding that being a side chick is bigger than just a sexual encounter. It is adding to the residue, the baggage, and the fear that you will continue to have ongoing in all of your relationships. Again, not just romantic, in your friendships, in your careerships, in your parentships. Yes, it affects how you parent. There is a trust that is not there. There is a transparency that is not there. There is a quash to your voice that you had to learn to sit in order to play your role as that side chick. And sometimes what happens is, because you've chosen to play that side chick role, in your other relationships, workships, parentships, friendships, even romantic relationships, you now try to overcompensate for what you don't have control over in those situations. And then you begin to lose control of that aspect of your life. Your child starts to shy away from you because you're overly aggressive. You're trying to control too much because you can't control that over there. As a side chick, you gave up those rights. Your job is starting to notice that you're a little more cranky. You're not as bendable as you used to be. You're not a team player. So now you're in risk of losing your job. Your friend is looking at you funny because you're super aggressive. You're not happy with whatever decisions that you all used to make happily together. So every decision that you make when you decide to accept the role as a side chick will ooze into all areas of your life. So when you meet someone and they tell you, yeah, I'm separated, you need to, in that moment, make a conscious decision to say, am I going to be okay with accepting the second place role? Because until that divorce is final and some time has passed, again, another conversation for another day, you will forever be in second place. You will forever be a non-factor. You're the backup, period. And if you're saying that you accept yourself as being a backup, you're saying that you accept that in all areas of your life. And I want you to think about that. I really want you to think about that. It doesn't just stop with that relationship that you're having with your partner or that person. When you go into side chick mode, you typically sit in side chick mode. If there's a promotion at work, guess what? You probably won't go for it because you've diminished yourself so much in that relationship that you're giving energy and time to that you forgot how to be a go-getter. You're just the grumpy employee who's learned to just be quiet and take it, secretly angry because you're not on top, hating on the best friend that you have because they're definitely doing their thing on a top level of where you could be, not giving your child all of what they need of you, which is 100%, because you're too busy giving the little bit that you have left to that piece of a relationship. And here, think about it. When you came into this, whoever thought, oh my gosh, being a side chick is actually way more difficult than what I thought. Yes, it is. It is a huge decision, life-altering decision that can take one of the most powerful people in the world and bring her down to her knees when she's at home alone because she's okay with being second best. Ladies, it is not okay to be second best. It is not cute. It is not funny. And it's not okay for your overall well-being to walk around to purposely be that side chick. In the grand scheme of things, energy is real. And if you're walking around in side chick energy, even when you cut that relationship off, what you're going to continue to attract is side chick-esque people. Think about that. I always use the phrase, you lose people the same way you get them. So the next time you think or even remotely feel like you might want to not give a relationship 100% so you're okay with, hey, I'm just going to be with this guy because I know that he's not going to bug me because he's married or he's attached or whatever it is. Take a long, hard look in the mirror, ladies. Look at yourself and ask yourself, are you worth that 100% of you? And if the answer is yes, do not move forward in that side chick role. If the answer is no, me and you have work to do. I want to work with you. I want to get you to a place where the answer is always yes. I am my 100%. I will not accept second place. I am not anyone's side anything. And I assure you, once the work is done, you'll see that exude and ooze over everything. You'll see your career flourish. You'll see your business flourish. You'll see your friendship flourish. You'll see your family relationship flourish. Flourishing means that only things that are best for you and that align with what you want will be. It does not mean things go up and up and up and happy, happy, happy. Because in that flourishment, you could decide to leave that job that just wasn't best for you because it wasn't suiting you well. You can decide to feed certain family members with a long-handled spoon because they did not serve you best. You may find that this best friend that you had may not have always been the best for you because maybe they didn't have your best intentions in mind. So, when it comes to playing your side role, I ask you, what's your decision? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna be the owner of the house? Or are you gonna be the cleanup woman? Let that sink in. When you own the house, it is yours to maintain. You are the house. It is yours to keep up. It is yours to clean. It is yours to mess up. It's your house. Or do you want to be the cleanup woman that comes in and picks up behind the homeowner? You want to pick up what she's left behind of her man. You want to fix what she's left behind of her man. To the point where you've cleaned him up and you fixed him up, and where does he go? Back to the owner of the house. Okay, let that sink in for you. So we are coming up on 3 minutes of our 30-minute midday quickie time frame, where I am here with you on a tri-weekly basis. That is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we talk about topics that women want and need to discuss. Everything women-centered. I have some very special guests that will be coming to my platform that I'm super excited about. I have a hair loss specialist that's coming. I have a pelvic floor therapist that is coming. I had a healthy eating person that was here. I had a sleep specialist that was here. So everything for women, by women, about women is what this Midday Quickie is all about. It is an exclusive to my community members who are joining me here on YouTube and here in my club, which is Life, Love, and Intimacy on Clubhouse. I welcome you to join me whenever you're available. And if there's ever a topic that you want to hear about, and yes, guys, if there's a topic that you want me to talk about that is woman-centered, absolutely send that to me. Feel free to become a part of my community by texting the word community to 804-967-4551. And before we go, just a reminder that we do have our July book, which is right here. Please, it is all about self-love and self-pleasure beyond the physical, ladies. All books are going out this week. If you want to be a part of that book club, please feel free to text the word books to 804-967-4551. I am partnered with an amazing woman from Beauty and Barbells Company. Here's her card. She has some special goodies in there for self-care and self-pleasure beyond physical this month. So I'll see you guys back here on Friday, where we're going to be talking about your erotic zones. We're going to see some pictures, and we're going to talk about some areas that you probably don't otherwise think of. And it's almost like a part 2 to when we talked about selecting the best toy for you. So if you want to see those pictures, make sure you're a part of the community, and I will see you guys back here on Friday. Enjoy the rest of your lunch. I'm going to have mine. Good evening, everybody. or good day.